Here is something that happened this summer that almost nobody is talking about. 3 AI models were released. All 3 are open source, which means anyone can download them and use them for free. And on real tests, they are matching the ones you pay for: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. The ones with the expensive subscriptions. Free models are now competing in the same league. Let me show you what's happened. First, some quick context, because this didn't come out of nowhere. At the end of 2023, there was a massive gap between free AI and paid AI. If you measured it on something called MMLU, which is basically the standard exam for how smart a model is, think of it like a final exam that every AI has to sit. The best paid model scored about 88%, the best free one around 70%. That's a 17-point gap. Huge. By the end of 2025, the gap was not 3, 0.3. Basically nothing. First, DeepSeek V4 Flash. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company, and their V4 Flash model is one of the most surprising releases this year. It costs almost nothing to use. We are talking 0.14 per million tokens. Tokens are basically chunks of words, is how AI measure text. For comparison, a top-tier model like Claude charges around $5 for the same amount. That's roughly 35 times cheaper. But here is the wild part. It's not 35 times worse, it's actually competitive. On an independent test that ranks AI models by how smart they are, V4 Flash scores 50. The bigger, more expensive DeepSeek model, V4 Pro, it scores 44. The cheap one is beating its own big brother. DeepSeek published 9 different tests that measure how well AI can complete tasks on its own, step by step, and the small, cheap model won, every single one. It's like ordering from the budget menu and finding out it tastes better than the expensive one from the same restaurant. Number 2, GLM 5.2. This one comes from a Chinese company called SWE AI, and what makes it special is coding. There is a test called SWE-bench Pro. What it does is it gives the AI real bugs from real software projects and says, fix this. GLM 5.2 scored 62.1, GPT 5.5, the paid model from OpenAI, 58.6. The free model beat the paid one on fixing real code. And this model is MIT license. That basically means there are 0 restrictions. Anyone can download it, change it, use it for their business. Completely free, no strings attached. A former VP from Meta and Google DeepMind said he used it all day and called it the first open model good enough to be a daily driver for coding. That's not a small statement. And finally, Kimi K3. This is the big one, literally. 2.8 trillion parameters. That's like the size of the brain, how much knowledge and skill is packed inside. Is the largest open source AI model ever released from a Chinese company called Moonshot AI. On the same independent ranking, Kimi K3 scores 57. The top 2 models in the world, GPT 5.6 at 59 and Claude Fable 5 at 60. That's a gap of 2 to 3 points on a test where the difference between models is often less than 1. A free model within touching distance of the absolute best on the planet. And on one test where developers judge how well AI can build real websites and web apps, Kimi K3 came first, ahead of Fable 5, ahead of GPT 5.6. The free model topped the list. Now, here is what I find really interesting. All 3 of these models are Chinese. DeepSeek, SWE, Moonshot, all from China. A year ago, people were asking whether Chinese AI could keep up with America. Now, Chinese companies are releasing the strongest free models in the world. And on one of the biggest platforms where people actually use AI models, Chinese models now make up over 45% of all usage. A year ago, less than 2%. So what does this mean for you? The paid models are still excellent. Nobody is saying cancel your subscription tomorrow, but the gap between paid and free has almost disappeared and is still shrinking. The most valuable skill right now isn't picking the right subscription, it's knowing how to use AI well, because when the tools are free, the person using them becomes the advantage. One thing to keep in mind though, if you want to run these models yourself on your own computer, you will need a strong machine with a good CPU, that's the processor, the brain of your computer, and the GPU, that's the graphics card that handles the heavy lifting for AI. These are not lightweight apps, but the fact that you can run them at all for free on your own hardware, that's the story. The best AI in the world is no longer locked behind a paywall. Have you tried any of these? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Subscribe and see you in the next one.